This is Believe in Buckeyes. I'm Bryant with All-American quarterback Chekwa. This show is brought to you guys by FanDuel. And chill, just as quick as it came, and we got geared up for it, and our guys went through mat drills. It's officially ended. Spring ball is over with the spring game taking place this past weekend at the shoe. Chim, what's going on? How you doing? I see you're bringing back some old mojo there, man. The national championship, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I am. I'm ready for what's next. The next is fall camp, season, etc. But shout out to the guys that we got through this spring. I thought a pretty solid spring, a good spring game. I do wish they're two separate teams and they played against each other instead of the offense defense. But it was good showing out there. Fans showed up, so they completed the spring. It's always exciting. I think there's a lot of talent out there.
No, for sure. There's definitely there's no lack of talent at Ohio State. Surprise, surprise, right? Who would have thought that Ohio State has another talented team coming into the 26th season, but that's where we are at. But yeah, so let's break down spring ball a little bit. Obviously, we got to see a lot of guys that we've been hearing about and they've been writing about. And we got to see a couple of snippets from practice and highlights and things of that nature, but we kind of got to officially lay our eyes on our guys and see them go out there and compete a little bit against each other. I don't know, man. Let's get right to it. Who you calling out? Who stood out to you, man? Who flashed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking at the corners first. That's my thing. But I think one reason why I'm looking at him is because you have one guy graduating who's a guy has to step into that role, and if a guy's stepping into that role, you got to have some guys to back up the other guys. And we've also met so much in the transfer portal. But I thought initially, just watching Devin Sanchez with the first group, he was more confident, more in control, and he looks like a better player. And now there wasn't a ton of action in terms of passes, targets his way. I don't really want to judge a lot off of a spring game, and the guy made a play in a spring game. But the way he never felt like he was being pressured. I don't know if that makes sense, but like as a corner, when you're in control, you're doing a good job, right? When you're going against a guy like Jeremiah Smith, that's pressure, right? So when you're in the whole play, when you're in the control of the route, good body control, you're able to make a play on the ball. It never looks like he was really stressed. To me, that's a difference from last year, when in those situations, he was always in position a lot of times, but it didn't look like he was in good balance. So he didn't look like he was in ability to go make a play on the ball, et cetera. So you see the jump there. It's an expected jump, but it's a much needed one because, he's got to be a guy that starts for Ohio State in that position. And I also thought, the kid that came from Georgia, Dominic Kelly, at that corner position, I wanted to see him, not so much need to go out there and make a pick or a PBU, but just see him move. And I think, he's going to be a solid starter level player at that position, which is much needed because now we have Sanchez, Kelly, Jermaine Matthews. And you have those three guys. You could play one guy inside, two guys on the outside. They have that. I think they have it, based on what I've seen from those guys so far. So they look good. Those guys impressed me for sure.
Yeah, no, and it's like you say, it's a box that needs to be checked, right? We know how the season starts, right? We're gonna have a big games early and often when it comes to the year, and if you don't have a defensive backfield, you're not gonna show up very well, right? So for us to kind of see a couple guys that kind of look like they got it, right? You start looking at Earl Little Jr., you start looking at Dominic Kelly, you start looking at Sanchez. Okay, and then we know we got Jordan Matthews returning. We know we got McCain returning. Okay, we got a defensive back. Now you feel good about it, right? You can check that box that we got the guys, right, that could go out there and get the job done. Now, obviously, it's football. Bearing injury, it looks like we kind of got a unit that could go out there and compete. We got an extra corner. We got 2 or 3 safeties that's in the mix. We got enough guys that could play college football to go out there and get the job done. And essentially that does matter. I got to shout out some guys because I think these guys kind of lit it up when it came to, I guess who they are in the future here. Not even the 26th season, but past that. And that's going to be Chris Henry Jr. and Taven St. Clair. Man, they made some plays, right?
Yeah, they did.
We heard about the talent that Chris Henry was and the drama it took at the end due to Hartline, departing and going to be a head coach. But we put the string wherever it took. We got Chris Henry Jr. to show up to become a Buckeye, and it looks like he's going to be another special talent going out there. What do you have? At least 2 touchdowns, right? 4 big catches. And he just looked the part, man. I mean,
Yeah,
he has the stature, but the way he was just kind of floating up and down the field and making some of those catches that could be considered tough, making them look easy and being a target, a friendly target for the quarterback, he definitely looked like he's going to be a guy that's going to be prone to kind of get some plays this coming fall when you start
yeah,
looking at the true freshmen and what they bring in.
yeah. I think you hit on it with the friendly target, and he's still a young player. There's probably some things that the coaches see that they want him to do that maybe he's not doing yet. But he got his back stripe removed early, um, so it shows that he's progressing well. What I saw from him is down the field throws. He can go up and get the ball with good balance, good body control, get his head around. Those catches. For guys like Carnell Tate, guys like Chris Henry, they just look smooth. They don't look like much, but those aren't easy catches to make. Him making them look easy means that he's a good player, right? And he's going to
Right.
be good. You don't get a ton in the spring game of the entire route tree or whatever, but just seeing him go across the field on a deep over or a deep corner route and then going up and get that ball. If you put the ball in the place where the DB can't get to it, he still can. Chris Henry could still go up there, get that ball. So I mean, just having that type of target. I know we kind of talked about who is going to be receiver number 2.
Mhm.
And I know Coach Day talked about this being as deep a room as he's ever had. I call cap on that, right?
Yeah.
But I will
He has some deep
say
rooms. That's all. That's all.
we've had some
Very
really
deep.
deep rooms. But I will say, to his point, is the young guys coming along early may actually lead to a deeper room. You got a guy like Chris Henry. I thought Brock Boyd, even though he
Yeah.
didn't get a ton of catches or anything like that, when I watched him run and move and come off the line and adjust to the football, there was one where his foot was out of
The
bounds where
out
he
of
caught
bounds.
it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah, right. That's a great
but
catch right
making the
there.
catch like in
Mhm.
that way just shows how these guys can finish. I don't know from a speed standpoint. I wasn't able to see, what level of separation he can get, but I know he can get separation through his route running and his finishing ability, just like Chris Henry, is pretty good. So those two guys, being guys that are early enrollees, you know, really high school seniors, those two guys are really impressive because the other thing is they're going to improve so much more between spring and camp because they're going to be getting stronger. They're going to be learning the offense more. So I enjoy seeing those guys play, and it makes me feel good about the future of the receiver position.
Yeah, that's for sure. And let's talk about St. Clair a little bit, right? I mean, I think our head guy, he went out there, he did his thing, right? Now not much to talk about, right? But St. Clair's a guy we always got to be watching out for, right? Because now he's officially QB2, and at any given moment he could be QB1 and have to go out there and lead our team to some victories, right? Not to go out there and maintain. You might have to go out there and score some points to kind of get us to a game or two for us to kind of have the season we expect to have. And I think the ball just kind of explodes off his hand, right? I
Yeah.
think he definitely had left a couple of plays out there, right? That could have easily been turnovers. But when you see him throw the ball deep, come them deep passes to Chris Henry Jr., it just feels like a layup, right? It just kind of like he has that arm, he has that talent that he can just kind of get the ball down the field in an effortless motion. We know what type of athlete he is. We know he has some abilities to kind of tuck the ball and he'll be able to kind of do some of those things. But to me, this kind of was a big woo side. Just kind of let my shoulders relax a
Yeah.
little bit that the young guy is coming along. He's understanding things. He would make some jumps. He still would make some jumps when it comes to camp uh, this year. But it just makes me feel a little comfortable. Like, hey, if something happens to saying St. Clair could actually go out there and we hit on that recruit and he could do a little bit to kind of carry us along in a few games, right?
Yeah, I like what I saw from St. Clair. There's some talk about, yeah, we might have a quarterback competition this fall.
You
We don't
know,
have a quarterback competition
uh,
this fall. It's not happening. But what St. Clair, he definitely looks the part, man. Mobile, tall, he, strong arm. He delivers that ball with some conviction. He can extend the play, find guys, keep his eyes downfield. He is legit a future potential star at the quarterback position. and the only thing limiting that is he has another guy in front of him right now. A few plays, I thought the DBs made good plays on the ball. So shout out to Inky Jones. He read the quick game and almost picked the ball up. That would have been a pick six
Yeah.
unless St. Clair was able to run him down.
Mhm.
And then Cam Coleman had it was like a curl or something where he jumped it, could have picked it. I you know I'm not too concerned about those. Those were passes that were accurate. It's just
Yeah.
the DB made a play, so he's gonna have to see that and hold on to that ball and make a better decision there. But the throws to Chris Henry, great passes downfield, being able to push the ball downfield in that way. We talked about the young receivers matched up with a quarterback like that for the future. It looks bright. They just got to keep him. They're gonna have to just got to keep this guy. But I'm happy with his development so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we got to talk a little bit about our defensive line. I guess we haven't even mentioned it, but the defense won the game, right? We didn't split
Defense
the
won the
teams up
game.
like we want, but the defense went out there and won the game. And obviously, in the Coach Day type of world, it's not often that they win. And if they do win, it's like usually like came down to the last drive, something happens, a turnover, and then they kind of win the game. But they kind of really went out there and dominated. They definitely had a defensive day, I would say, in the game, and it was led definitely by the defensive line. I want to kind of shout out John Walker, right? Transfer in that defensive tackle position. We're expecting the big season out of Edric Houston, but we got some new guys in, right? We got Will Smith that came back, but we got new guys in John Walker and Smith out of Alabama. And I think they held their own. I think Walker seems like a guy that's prone to have a big season, coming in with a lot of experience, right? He's been playing college football for like 3-4 seasons now, but he had like you got to see the motor inside and how when you start looking at interior offensive linemen, whenever you block on the D tackle, you just hate for the guy to have a ball, right? You want him to be able to like shoot a move that don't work. You can kind of grab him, hold him, and then that's kind of pretty much ends the play. But he's the guy that was giving second and third efforts, continue to fight, continue to find lanes and squeeze through to kind of get to the quarterback and whatever for that and just be disruptive. And obviously, haven't really watched him into that stature, but he definitely was able to kind of do that and cause some havoc there. Got to shout out Bo Atkinson. Bo came to us was this a good one to year two of the Ohio State. Last year, be honest, looking at the stat line come from North Carolina, I was expecting a little bit more. It's been like
Yeah.
that. But this spring he's been kind of sparking back up. Looks like he's kind of been more active. He actually got a couple sacks in this game. He actually got an interception in the spring game. And he's continued to show, I guess, that his resurgence coming off the defensive line and some of the things that he brought to the table.
Yeah, for sure. My question to you would be, where if there were, it's hard to take a lot from a spring game,
Yeah.
right? Now we do have a new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. Um, there's been some talks about how we want to get the ball to receivers, get some more yak and those things. From your perspective, are there any concerns about the offense? Defense won, right?
Yep.
And this is the weird thing about a spring game. You're playing against your own team, right? So if we start talking about how good Chris Henry is doing, that somebody got beat, right? Somebody got beat. Was it Roker? Was it Jordan Thomas? Was it So from your perspective on the offense, though,
yeah, so
any concerns from the game?
yeah, I mean, watching the game, if I was like, oh, the spring game is a real game, what's going on? I'm like, oh, we threw the ball way too often. Like, what are we doing? Why would we throw the ball so much? Right? We just
Mm,
kind of go out there, was winging it left and right. Our let's basically probably most likely our starting tackles didn't play in Austin Sherfield and Phil Walker and now you got younger guys on the edge and Ian Moore and Carter Lowe starting
yeah.
at the tackle position and you know they're younger guys. Just going to leave it at that. So we're throwing the ball too much. But I mean, looking at the full body of work, right? Both are probably running back 1 and 2 didn't compete. Left tackle, right tackle didn't compete. So I'm sure Arthur Smith kind of saw this more as a legit practice situation and his approach to the game going out there. Because I would just love to see us run the ball a little bit more consistent in it, especially once I say like the pass rush kind of start really affecting things. But it's practice, right? And so I feel like I'm not gonna say I'm concerned about some things, but they also didn't give me offensively a lot to be excited about.
Yeah.
Just feel like that.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a spring game. I know they did a lot of work that Friday before, so hopefully things look a little bit better there. But as far as this Saturday and its performance is, it's just nothing to say like, oh, I like that wrinkle. We could definitely hang our hat. I could see us doing that in the fall. It felt like more like let's just get through the day. Let's get through the day, and we'll get ready for fall camp and gear up for the actual season. And I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I got.
Yeah. My biggest thing is, and not so much the spring game, but this is trending going from last year into this spring game. We gotta turn the ball over. All right. If there's opportunities to catch it, if you jump a route or whatever, great play, but we gotta come down with some interceptions. We gotta create some turnovers. I just don't think as a defensive backfield, we've generated enough turnovers. And we're playing these zones. We got vision on the quarterback. You should be able to generate more turnovers by doing so. And I know it's not, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But one of the key things is having your eyes in the right spot and then getting your eyes back for the ball. And that's something that I'm gonna consistently look for because I feel like there's been a fall off in our ability to make it happen. A couple guys got their hands on the ball, but weren't able to finish it. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that that'd be my biggest concern moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's a wrap on spring, right? Now it's time for the guys to, I guess, get a little breather. They deserve it. Get a little relax a little bit, and then start gearing up for those workouts in the summer as we get ready to feel it. Really gear up and put the stamp on this 2016. But yeah, FanDuel. If you guys are into betting, NBA playoffs is going on. My Cavs, they're 2-0, Chim. I think they might come out the East this year, man. They might come out the East without LeBron.
Yeah,
They got a lot of work to do, but hey, they there. But man, if you're into it, check out FanDuel. As the NBA playoffs are going on, a lot of options, a lot of picks there. But we got what else we got this week, Jim? We got the draft.
draft.
We got the draft. Draft's taking place in Pittsburgh, man. What you got? What man? You got to be fired up for
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah. You should. I should drive out to it. But yeah, Pittsburgh draft. We got a ton of Buckeyes on the early, right? A ton of Buckeyes expected to go early. So it's gonna be exciting. I don't always watch the draft. I just
Yeah.
watch around the time I think, Ohio State players gonna get picked. But I'll be tuned in for sure for the first day because it's gonna be
Yeah.
a group of them.
Yeah. Nah. The first day it always kind of just pulls me in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That first round. But no, what are we looking at? We got potentially, well, I think we got 4 or 5 guys going to the draft, and we're looking at 4 or 5 guys potentially going in the first round.
Yeah,
Will we
probably
get it?
five. Probably 5 guys will go in the first round. I'm gonna go with the 5 guys. I'm not sure how many guys get drafted overall. Somewhere I think after the first 5, maybe 3 or 4 more guys in the mix that you would expect to get drafted. But yeah, definitely an impressive showing with those guys early. Is there a who do you think is the first Buckeye off the board?
Man, I really think I got to go to Glenville native. My guy, man. I got to go Arville Reese, man. I just think his talent level and his potential. To me, it's just almost too much to pass up on, right? And we know when you start looking at the first round, it's like you talk about it all the time. Like sometimes the guy they do too much, right? They play too much college football, and the NFL, I think a little bit
Right.
too much on you, and all of a sudden they figure out they kind of overthink the situation and come up with ways that they shouldn't, maybe put a trigger on you. And I feel like Arville Reese is at a real sweet spot where he came out essentially out of nowhere, right? We knew him, but
Yeah.
national level, out of nowhere, looks fantastic, plays fantastic, and then some of the plays that he makes, just like you just can't, it just like the play against Washington against the quarterback in an open field, like they kind of we're gonna see that clip 1,000 times coming Thursday night. It's just you just don't see it. It's rare, and so I think a lot of teams are going to be really excited about the opportunity to bring him into their org where they feel like they got this great guy, great talent that's healthy, but at the same time has a lot to learn about
Yeah.
rushing the passer and being in certain situations. So I think would definitely be the first guy off the board. I just think he just, I don't know. To me, I think they're talking about as high as 2 or 3 for him in the draft, and I could definitely see that taking place. When it comes to the first round, I think we could say probably about 4 guys is a lot. What's your thoughts on McDonald and what he brings to the game? Him being that nose tackle, a nose tackle position guy. Can he sneak into the first round later in the rounds and get us 5 Buckeyes in the first?
Yeah, I think he can. He's always been, even in prior years, short yardage. We see him basically blow up run plays, right? Knock a guy back on the 1 yard line and kind of destroy a run play. But I think this year what we saw even more so is his ability to affect the quarterback versus pass, and I think that's what's going to put him over the top. To be a first round guy, likely in the upper, later first round, where I mean teams are going to be looking for a guy that one can shore up the ability to stop the run, keep my linebackers clean, but can also go out there and disrupt the quarterback versus pass. And I feel really good about him being a first round guy. If I was betting on FanDuel or whatever, that's where I put my money. I don't know what the group of other tackles looks like because it's kind of comparative to where you stand versus everybody else.
Yeah.
But I think he's for sure locked into that top 3
Yeah,
of
no.
of those guys, and I think that gets him a first round pick for sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think the next guy that's rated up that high, I think it's the guy out of Clemson. It was like maybe Peter Woods or something like that, who also has a very high grade. But it's interesting that like the draft take place in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It just feels like a great moment for them to kind of take McDonald out of Ohio State and shore up their defensive line at that nose tackle position because the guy he plays like a stunner, guy that stops the run, still slippery enough in the pass, 2 gap in type of situation, type of guy. I could definitely see him going in a situation like
So,
that and being successful for many years.
so another guy interesting. I'm considering the first receiver off the board, and I've been consistent that I think Carnell Tate will be the first guy.
Yeah.
But just recently, Jordan Tyson put out a workout. I don't know if you saw his workout. He put out a workout video. He's running routes. He's doing things, and man, he looks explosive. It just, when you just watch a guy do his thing on his own, you kind of get to see all the elements of what he delivers. And I thought it was very strategic for his representation to put this workout video out. But I think a lot of GMs, I mean, these are humans making these picks, are gonna see it and feel more confident. Jordan Tyson's been a guy who's been, getting hurt and other
Yeah,
things.
but
So
man,
being able to go out there and show that he can move like that will put him up. But I still don't think it puts him up far enough. I think Mel Kiper has him number 1 on his board now. But I don't think that puts him up far enough to overtake a Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate goes within the top 7 or 8 picks. I don't think he gets out of the top 10.
yeah,
I
he's
think
going to the Browns. He'll be a Brown.
you think he's gonna be the Browns?
Yeah, he'll be
I,
a Brown. Ain't no doubt about it,
I,
right? Cleveland,
I'm
don't
not
mess this
sure,
up.
man. The Browns GM was talking good about him in the press conference, which means
Nah,
which means he's not
man.
gonna pick him. It's just
They
like
gonna
Travis Hunter.
overthink it. Yeah, they gonna overthink it. He gonna overthink it, man. Yeah, no. But no, real quick, I wanted to get some perspective on some of the defensive backs that we have in this draft. Obviously, we got Davidson Igbenogson, and we also have Lorenzo Styles. Now, they both are 2 different things, but obviously
Yeah,
Lorenzo Styles kind of made a big mark for himself running the 4.240, and we know Davidson just his passion, right? His fire that he brings to the game, and when he gets into some of those one-on-one situations. What's your thoughts on them? Are both of these guys draftable guys? If so, when and where
yeah,
do you think these guys could get taken off the board?
yeah. So I think Arvo Reese is the best prospect in the draft, and I think Caleb Downs has the highest floor. Like, uh, at least on defense. Like, this is a guy. If we pick him, he's gonna be a great player for us for a long time, right? So you can have comfort in that, and I think that makes him a top 10 pick because there's gonna be a team in that top 10. I'm thinking closer to 10 that needs that position and that can't miss. right? And that's the, you know, if you're in a position where we need that position, and I'm gonna pick top 10, and I can't miss, that's the guy I pick. If I
Right.
if there's some risk there at the safety, I probably won't even pick a safety with the risk. But because I think he's such a sure pick that he ends up being a top 10, maybe 11 or 12, somewhere around there. Um, and then Davidson Igbinosun, I think he, he's interesting to me because I think he has the profile of like a first round, second round corner.
Mm.
But I think one thing that may hurt him is that off man or off coverage, he there's still some improvement there that he can do. And, his prior years, the holding, right? I
Mm.
think that's something that is gonna, you know, limit how high he possibly can get. But I think he's a mid-round corner with the potential to have a long and very productive career because I mean he's great man to man. He's long, he's physical, and he competes at the point of attack. He competes. I remember when Ohio State first brought him in that cornerback room. I went and watched film on him from Ole Miss and said, "Man, this guy competes at a different level." And I remember criticizing our corners for years about I just feel like they just don't compete for the ball in the same way. And yeah, I think coaches are gonna like that from him. I think they're gonna feel confident that they can minimize some of the grabbing and stuff that he does when he's in position to go make the play. So I'm excited to see those guys get their names called, both well deserving individuals who are highly productive at Ohio State. So it's gonna be good to see where he lands.
What you got for Styles? 4.240. You think he ended up getting drafted? You think that was enough?
Yeah, I think Styles is interesting. I thought, I still think he's a little bit raw in terms of he still has a lot of improvement to make at the cornerback position. He's a smart guy, obviously a very, very fast player. There's some technique things that if he was able to improve on, he could actually be a really, really good player in NFL. So it's going to come down to the coaches evaluating him and identifying. He dealt with a injury all year with his shoulder. There was different things he was battling through, but being able to identify him as a special teams player that can be impactful, and then where does he fit on the defense? I think he ends up being a later round guy, potentially a free agent. But that level of athleticism that he has, it may get him drafted and give him an opportunity to, be a productive player early on.
Yeah, and one thing about Lorenzo Styles that we always gotta, we kind of fed him that he went to college as a wide receiver, right? Kind of switched over
Right.
the defensive back and kind of figured out how to do some things there, and obviously did it well enough where with some competition, like he didn't have to play, but he did well enough and then felt comfortable enough to get him out there on the field, and he was able to do some things. So good luck to them. So yeah, but good luck to all the Buckeyes, right? Like I say, they're right over in Pittsburgh. You might go out there. It's only a couple hour drive, right? I heard
Yeah.
they shut down the city. They're making the kids take school from home. They shut down the city for the draft. That's the steel city for you, I guess, man. But shout out to all the Buckeyes. Good luck. You guys have been working for it. You deserve it. So go out there, enjoy your moment, and then just know once you enjoy your moment, there's more work to be done right after that. But that's our show for this week, man. We'll continue to bring you Buckeye news as we kind of get ready for the break before summer. For summer and things kind of pick up there. We continue to let you know what's going on with our guys around Columbus, Ohio, Buckeye Nation, across the world, and college football. We're going to end this show, as always, for the nice OH.
Ayo.
Go Bucks. Talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.